Want to take a cell phone, a tablet, or a computer on an overseas trip? Then you really need to take one of these. We've had a lot of challenges with electronics traveling overseas. This device has been the most helpful to solve some of those things. 3 times in the last 8 years, we've had a cell phone disaster on a trip to Europe. On the first trip to Austria, my iPhone fell out of my pocket and wound up somewhere near this field in Austria. Since I'd been using it as my only picture-taking device, and they weren't backed up, I wound up losing my entire record of the trip, except for 2 pictures that I had attached to an email. That made this one a very expensive picture. 6 years later, I borrowed my wife's phone near the beginning of a month-long trip and accidentally dropped it into the Mediterranean, meaning she had no access for virtually the entire trip. Let's just say she was not a very happy camper. I wound up using it for 1 photo, so the $800 to replace it made this my second expensive European photo. This year, my wife accidentally ruined the screen of her cell phone the day before we were to board a plane to go to Europe. We were unsuccessful at replacing it in time, and she spent a 35-day overseas trip without a phone. Since she wound up using my phone for all of her girlfriend group texts, I was not always a happy camper. So, we've had more than our share of issues, and this device isn't going to solve all of them. But sometimes, even when we've had a phone or a tablet, we haven't had access to GPS. This has resulted in us being lost in, Rome, Paris, Vienna, Verona, Jerusalem. I could go on. So actually, I could go on and on. So, what is this device, which we affectionately call our hockey puck, and how does it help? It's called a mobile hotspot, sometimes referred to as MiFi. We've used this in 18 different European countries successfully over the past 5 or 6 years. So, how does it work? The device itself is standalone. By that I mean it's not affiliated with the Verizon phone plan and has no monthly subscription that you pay. It's dormant except when we're traveling. When we leave for a trip, we activate it with options that I'm going to explain in just a minute. As soon as we leave the United States, we put our phones in airplane mode and we leave them there. So we don't incur roaming or overseas charges or so much a day every time it finds a cell tower. When we need it, we pull it out and turn it on. It searches for the strongest nearby cell service and lets us know it's connected. Then we leave our cell phone on airplane mode. We activate Wi-Fi. The puck uses local carriers that are contracted with Solis and works in something like 150 countries, and all of the ones that we've ever been in. It typically takes just a minute or 2. It flashes when it's ready, and like all cell phone service, there's remote locations where coverage is not available. We've been able to connect with Wi-Fi in every country that we've been in, and generally the reception is comparable to my US plan. Once connected, we can email, we can text, we can make Wi-Fi phone calls. In fact, we received calls while we were overseas. People thought we were in the United States. We can use airline and other travel apps to make connections. We can turn on GPS and track our location. We can find landmarks. When we're out sightseeing, I typically wear a travel vest like this one. And what I do is I turn on the puck, I stick it in one of the pockets of the vest. If we're in an area where it's going to be pickpockets, I put it on an inside pocket. And I leave it there all day. And we're able to use phones and access it the entire time. The battery will typically last for a full day, and then we charge it overnight. So, the question I'm sure you want to know, what does it cost? You can purchase these devices directly from Amazon, from Best Buy, or from retailers, other retailers, as well as from Solis itself. The Solus Lite 4G version, like we have, will cost somewhere around 120 bucks. But you can often find it for less than that. There is a 5G version that has come out since we purchased ours. It's 2 to 3 times the cost, and we have not found that to be necessary for us. Once you have the device, there are several different options for data. For short trips, you can buy data by the gigabyte or by the day. For a longer trip, you can purchase a package by the month. This last trip, we were going to be gone more than a month, so we purchased a gigabyte subscription. We bought 20 gigabytes, but we bought it for 80 bucks. No matter which option you choose, it's a better deal than the $9 a day that most U.S. companies will charge, or that our U.S. company charges, and we don't have to worry about roaming charges, unexpected charges. We don't have to worry about not being able to connect to certain towers in certain areas. We use this thing in surprising ways. When we board a train, we've discovered that stops aren't always announced, and if they are announced, we may not understand what they're saying. So what we do is we put in the destination on the train and we track it on Google Maps so that we can tell as the train approaches a stop if this is our stop or not. Same thing with buses. That has turned out invaluable. It happened when we were in Rome and we decided to take public transport in Rome. So it's nice to know when to get off the bus. We're also able to back up pictures so that we don't have the situation like I had the first time, where we lose the data and don't have to worry about filling up my phone with videos. We also use apps like WhatsApp so that we can keep in contact with our Airbnb hosts and with taxi drivers. But most of all, we use it for GPS. It helps us keep from getting lost wandering in town. Unless, of course, you just want to be lost in London. As always, let me know in the comments what things you use and if you've got better ideas than what we use. Also, check out our latest cruise ship video here. We're going to have more travel tips in the weeks ahead. Until then, safe travels. But we've been able to connect with Wi-Fi in every country we've visited. In every country we've... Let me try it again. We've been able to connect with Wi-Fi... One more time.